Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Fiona G. President Donald Trump will sign executive orders today to jumpstart the nuclear industry. Now, Trump is expected to streamline the regulatory process for new reactor approvals, as well as enhancing fuel supply chains. And President Trump says a 50% tariff will be imposed on the European Union on June 1st, and Apple could be facing a 25% tariff amid its manufacturing pivot to India, the latest on the trade standoff. Harvard University files another lawsuit in its battle for independence from the Trump administration. We have those details. President Trump calls on Britain to stop building windmills and instead focus on drilling for oil in the North Sea, saying this will bring British energy prices down and fast. But this is a stark contrast from Britain's drive to decarbonize the electric grid. And the largest prisoner swap between Russia and Ukraine since the start of the war. The two sides are exchanging POWs this morning after recently holding their first direct talks.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
China's communist regime said today that it would continue talks with the U.S. government to stabilize bilateral relationships. This comes as both sides work to resolve trade disputes. Now, according to Beijing, its vice foreign ministers spoke by phone yesterday with Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau. China says the two sides discussed key issues. Now, the State Department has acknowledged the call and said both countries agreed to keep communication open. The call follows an agreement reached on May 12th in Switzerland to pause new trade measures and reduce tariffs for 90 days. The U.S. lowered its tariff rate on Chinese goods from 145 to 30%. China dropped its tariffs on American imports from 125 to 10%. Earlier, the president signed new executive orders in the Oval Office. Let's take a look at that.
With overregulation. Today, Will is going to walk us through a series of 4 executive orders. Each of these help attack separate issues that have held back this industry. And with us today, we've got a number of CEOs from the industry representing some of our largest nuclear providers, but also a big change. This is a time when capital and competition has finally come to this industry. We've got venture capital, we've got startups coming into all aspects with small modular nuclear, and we've also got an EO that's talking about the importance of us having a secure supply chain of being able to get that fuel load here in the United States as opposed from foreign sources. This has impacts on national security, on our defense, and again, President Trump here today has committed to energy dominance. And part of that energy dominance is that we've got enough electricity to win the AI arms race with China. What we do in the next 5 years related to electricity is going to determine the next 50, because this is the first time in history where electricity can be translated into intelligence. And we need that intelligence for every aspect of our economy, but also for defense. Pete Hegseth in the Department of Defense has been a key part of this, and this is going to help us make sure that we're providing the defense we need, where we need that AI, need the electricity, but also to secure our bases here at home and around the world. Secretary?
Sure, I'll just add to that before going to Will. Energy security is national security. If we don't have reliable energy for our basing, for our troops, whether forward deployed or domestically, we're vulnerable. So by having small modular nuclear capabilities, which are rapidly being fielded, that we can use on our bases here and around the world, we're creating an environment where if things happen elsewhere, the military can be relied upon. Also, we're including artificial intelligence into everything we do. If we don't, we're not fast enough. We're not keeping up with adversaries. You need the energy to fuel it. Nuclear is a huge part of that, modular or otherwise. So we're going to have the lights on and AI operating when others do not, faster than everybody else because of nuclear capability. So this is a big game changer for us as well.
And we're also talking about the big plants, the very, very big, the biggest. We're going to be doing them also, but we're going to start off a little bit. I think our focus today is the smaller module, but included in this group, we're also doing big plants where needed. They won't be needed too much, but they'll literally be able to do it in an entire state. And you've read a lot about cost overruns in a couple of states that were pretty significant, but we're not going to have cost overruns. And the technology's come a long way, both in safety and cost and everything else. Would a couple of you guys like to talk about your companies and you want to say anything?
Joe, why don't you kick it off?
Sure. My name is Joe Dominguez. I run Constellation Energy. We have about 25% of the nation's fleet. We're the largest publicly traded nuclear company in the world. We're in the middle of a merger with Calpine, and once completed, we will be the largest electric producing company in the world. About enough power to produce, to cover all of Mexico, actually.
I didn't know that. When we talked, you were so modest. I can't believe it.
That's normally not said about me, Mr. President. Thank you.
I'm very impressed. Go ahead. So you think it's got a great future?
Yeah, well, absolutely we do. And the big change here is not only the technology has come around, but we have some of the largest companies in the world, the hyperscalers, who need this energy for AI, who are now working with us to fund the development and construction of the next generation nuclear. Nuclear is a 24/7 resource. These data centers run 24/7. Some of them will cost $200–300 billion, and they want to run them all of the time. So we can't use intermittent resources. We need something that's always on, 24/7, and nothing does that better than nuclear. The problem in the industry has historically been regulatory delay. Mr. President, you know this because you're the best at building big things. Delay in regulations and permitting will absolutely kill you, because if you can't get the plant on, you can't get revenue, and the interest costs are horrible. We're wasting too much time on permitting, and we're answering silly questions, not the important ones. For example, let me give you an example. In 3 places in this country, we're trying to license new reactors at sites that already have reactors. Yet I have to spend $35 billion at each site just for the NRC to do an analysis that says this is a good place for nuclear. Well, guess what? We've been running nuclear in that community for 4 decades. Why are we even asking that question? I'd rather spend that $35 million, 3 times $105 million, perfecting a design, start building the foundation, and getting going. We need to do this for America.
Are we doing something about the regulatory in here?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes,
You are,
Because
sir.
that's going to be a big factor.
Yes, sir. That issue I just described will be addressed in this EO, and many other issues that we don't have time with the President to
But
cover
you say
today.
it's very, we've contemplated just about everything, right?
Well, this, Mr. President, this Energy Dominance Council that you have created is something I haven't seen in 30 years. It brings together all the pieces of government in one place to expedite the process. Under Secretary Burgum's leadership, this has been an amazing, amazing thing. It used to be the case that I have to run to about 5 different places in Washington to get one answer.
That's great.
And now it's all together in one place. So all I know about Secretary Burgum and Secretary Wright is if we haven't gotten it right, we'll get it right shortly, and there'll be another order for you to sign. But thank you so much for your leadership, sir.
You were going to say something? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say commercial nuclear, a bit of an unsung hero. And I just want to thank you, Mr. President, Secretary Burgum, Secretary Wright, for bringing this attention to commercial nuclear. We have the largest and most safe fleet right here in the United States. And upon that, we have fantastic innovation that's being brought forward. And it's going to come in all shapes and sizes. And it's going to actually be coming through some of these companies that you see represented here. We're going to have great jobs, we're going to have wonderful energy, and we're going to be ready. So thank you, Mr. President, for leaning in.
Appreciate it. Great job you've done, too.
Jake?
How about talking about your company and the job you're going to do?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Well, first of all, a little MIT nuclear connection that goes back, I know, familiar for you. So, yeah, we're working on small reactors. I'm Jake DeWitt, CEO, co-founder at Oklo, working on small next-generation reactors that take technology America invented, developed, and pioneered and bringing it to the market after it sat on the shelves of history for about 40 years. And it's because of the actions that you're doing today that are going to help unleash that. Changing the permitting dynamics is going to help things move faster. We're seeing private investment flow into this space like we've never seen before. We went public about a year ago. One of the most successful actually go public outcomes for a transaction like that for a small nuclear company, because the market needs this and wants this. And under your leadership, creating the Dominance Council, I mean, it's hard to overstate the value of that. And nuclear is a manifestation of energy dominance. In fact, a golf ball of uranium metal, which this is not, but it's a golf ball, has enough energy content in it to power your entire life's energy needs. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And to get back to building, nuclear uses the fewest materials, right? The least amount of concrete, of steel, of fuel for amount of energy it produces. So it should be the cheapest, the most scalable, the most sustainable. Just like you mentioned, Mr. President, about the importance of doing that right. The physics are on our side, and these things help unleash this innovation to actually realize that. So it's never been more exciting.
Very exciting indeed. Go ahead, please.
And I'm Scott Nolan, CEO of General Matter. We're an American enrichment company trying to bring back the U.S.'s lead in producing nuclear fuel. So just like car engines need fuel, nuclear reactors need fuel. Right now, the U.S. is completely dependent on other countries to make the key step of enrichment in this fuel. And these executive orders are going to pave the way for the U.S. to regain its lead. So we really appreciate it.
Will you be doing the AI plants? Because we have a lot of them going up now, and or soon going up, and they need tremendous electricity. Are you going to be involved in many of those plants?
Yes.
Will a lot of them be using nuclear, or some are using oil and gas, some are using different things? But
many of them will be, I think.
It just makes a lot of sense.
Nuclear is a perfect solution, and that's where most of them are interested.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be, yes.
Okay, Will, please.
Yes, the first executive order we have for you relates to the issue that Secretary Hegseth was speaking to, which is the need for incredible amounts of power at defense installations and also in AI-focused installations. What this executive order will do is speed up the approval and adoption process for specialized nuclear reactors at these sorts of sites. It also involves the Department of Energy making available the necessary fuel stock. It also creates a special envoy position and a strategy around nuclear technology export. The idea being that we can grow American industry on the back of foreign purchasers who are interested in this sort of technology as well.
I'm just thinking, as you're saying that, I just said, what about auto pens? Could I use an auto pen? What did Biden do? Did he have an auto pen at the desk?
Nuclear powered.
No, he didn't do events. Yeah, he used nuclear power. You know, he didn't do events like this, I guess. That's all right. Otherwise, you know, you walk into the other side of the room, have an auto pen sign, right? Here it is. It's phase one. Very big phase, very important phase.
Sir, this next executive order is intended to reform the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. You heard a few of the people here speak about the complex regulatory processes that have really held the nuclear industry back. Before 1978, there were 133 reactors built in the United States. Since 1978, only 2 new commercial reactors have come online. That's because of overregulation, and the goal of this executive order is bringing that regulatory process into line with the actual needs of the industry and public safety, with an end goal of quadrupling the amount of nuclear power production in the next 2.5 decades.
It's fantastic. It's exciting, right? There you go.
This next executive order relates to nuclear reactor testing, sir. The degree of overregulation and governmental inaction in this space in particular has had the effect of throttling development of new, highly modernized nuclear reactors that could really revolutionize the field of nuclear power generation. So this executive order, it orders a revised regulatory process to speed this whole process while preserving, obviously, core safety concerns. It also creates a new pilot program with an expectation that we will have 3 new experimental reactors online by July 4th next year.
It's amazing. That's okay, come on.
And lastly, sir, we have an executive order on reinvigorating the nuclear industrial base. There are a number of core issues here, including the issue with fuel feedstock that one of the speakers mentioned before. This executive order, among other actions, includes an invocation of the Defense Production Act in order to spur a closer collaboration with private industry to ensure that we have the fuel supplies we need for a modernized nuclear energy sector. In addition to that, it includes crucial provisions relating to the development of a nuclear energy sector workforce and a number of other key building blocks to the overall nuclear industry that we're trying to spur here.
Great. Thank you.
And we have one more for you here, sir. This doesn't directly relate to nuclear energy, but it's on a similar subject. This executive order is entitled Restoring Gold Standard Science. One of the issues that we've had in recent decades is that government policy has been made on the back of junk science, scientific studies and findings that have included conflicts of interest or scientific misconduct. The purpose of this executive order is to recenter policymaking around gold standard science, scientific efforts that have followed appropriate scientific methods that don't include those sorts of conflicts of interest, and to ensure that when departments and agencies are relying on scientific studies to promulgate rules, to promulgate regulations, that the science that they're relying on is highly reliable and available to the public.
He did a very good job, didn't he? He did. How many people here could have done that? I don't know. I think a lot. Thanks. Good job, Will.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is that it?
That's all we have for you now, sir.
Do you have any questions for these brilliant people? They are brilliant people, actually.
Mr. President, on nuclear, sir, a lot of the concern over the years that's helped the nuclear industry back has been about safety. Are you satisfied with those safety concerns?
Yeah, we are. It's become a very safe, actually it's become very safe, and a tremendous work's been done on that, more than anything else, and it's really the automatic shutoffs. There's so many different things that they have now that they would have never had. You know, my uncle was a great nuclear person years ago, and that was a different, if you would have asked that question, probably it would have been a much different answer. But they have tremendous shut-off power and other powers that, and it's very redundant, as I understand it, like at a level that nobody's ever seen before, so it's safe. And we're going to do a lot of the small ones, and we're going to do some of the big ones, but yeah, very safe. Safe and clean.
And on your social media,
Let's keep it on this for a little while. Let's keep it on the nuclear, and then if you want to ask something else, which you might, we'll do that.
On nuclear, Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
What did you say to folks who are concerned that speeding up licensing or even doing fuel reprocessing raises safety and proliferation?
Yeah, we're going to get it very fast, and we're going to get it very safe, and we're going to get the people in and out, and they're going to do plants. In many cases, they'll do 3 or 4 smaller ones and put them together. That's what France has done. France has done a good job of this for years. And they, as I understand it, they had basically one plan. And if they needed more, they'd do 3 or 4 or 5 of them. I don't know we have to go that far, but, you know, there's something about building one big one. But we'll build the big ones, too. We're going to have, I think we'll be, I would say we'll be second to none, because we're starting very strong. But it's time for nuclear, and we're going to do it very big. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, what about the European Union? You said that negotiations are going nowhere. Where are the kind of points where they're
slow moving? I've been saying to everybody, they've treated us very badly over the years. It was formed in order to hurt the United States, in order to take advantage of the United States, and they've done that. We have a big deficit with them. They sell millions and millions of cars, as you know, Mercedes and BMW and Volkswagen and many others, and we were restricted from, essentially restricted from selling cars into the European Union, which is not nice. And I just said it's time that we play the game the way I know how to play the game. You know, they've taken advantage of other people representing this country, and they're not going to do that any longer. Yeah.
Mr. President, you are a deal maker, deal breaker. What are you hoping to achieve with a 50%?
Well, I think this is there is no tariff, because what they'll do is they'll send their companies into the U.S. and build their plant. You know, we have, I guess, over $12 trillion practically committed. You look at other presidents; they haven't had $1 trillion for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. We have numbers. Nobody's ever seen numbers like we have. And if they build their plant here, then they have no tariff at all.
Are you looking for a deal in 9 days? Will you be able to do that, sir?
I'm not looking for a deal. I mean, we've set the deal. It's at 50%. But again, there is no tariff if they build their plant here. Now, if somebody comes in and wants to build a plant here, I can talk to them about a little bit of a delay. But, you know, while they're building their plant, which is something I think that would be appropriate, maybe. We'll determine that.
Is there anything they can do, sir? Is there anything the EU can do?
I don't know. We're going to see what happens. But right now, it's going on June 1st. And that's the way it is. No, they haven't treated us properly. They haven't treated our country properly. They banded together to take advantage of us. And the people behind me know, because they had some of that with their industry. But generally, you know, we signed a great deal with United Kingdom. We have numerous other deals that are ready to be signed. We've signed a deal with China. We have some really amazing deals, but the European Union, I mean, the sole purpose was really not to hurt us, but to take advantage of us, and we're not going to be taking advantage.
Mr. President, on Apple, you said this morning that if they don't make their iPhones in the U.S., you're going to hit them with a 25% tariff. Right. Do you have the power to tariff one single company, and why would you want to hurt an American company in that way?
It would be more. It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start on, I guess, the end of June. It'll come out. I think we have that appropriately done by the end of June. So if they make that product. Now, again, when they build their plant here, there's no tariff. So they're going to be building plants here. But I had an understanding with him that he wouldn't be doing this. He said he's going to India to build plants. I said, that's okay to go to India, but you're not going to sell into here without tariffs. And that's the way it is. Yeah.
Well, why would you hurt an American company?
What makes you confident, sir, that Apple can build in the United States at a price that American consumers?
Oh, they can. No, they can. And a lot of it's so computerized now. These plants are amazing if you look at them, but they can do that. And you know, actually, as you know, Apple's coming in with $500 billion. So are the chip companies. We have all of the chip companies coming in. The biggest, $500 billion, $200 billion, $250 billion they're spending. But we're talking about the iPhone now, and you know, the iPhone, if they're going to sell it in America, I want it to be built in the United States. They're able to do that.
When you say that Walmart should eat the cost of the tariffs, is that an acknowledgement that it is U.S. companies that bear the brunt of tariffs, not foreign countries?
Sometimes the country will eat it, sometimes Walmart will eat it, and sometimes there'll be something to pay, something extra. I've always been a fan, and I've always believed, and if you look, take a look at what I did 4 years ago. We had the greatest economy, and we had no inflation. Remember that. We had no inflation, and yet we had hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs that I put on China, yet we had no inflation. We had no big cost differential. Oftentimes, and I don't like it when a department store, because they'll do a lot of business, but you know, they announce record profits and everything else. They have to take out some of their profits. They'll make a little bit less money. But I don't want the consumer. I don't want the consumer to pay.
But why impose tariffs that you know are hurting American businesses?
They're not hurting. They're helping because they're creating jobs in America. We're creating tremendous amounts of jobs in America like you've never seen. We're having investment in America. We're not getting ripped off by every country in the world. We've been ripped off by every country in the world. They're making their product. They sell it. They don't give our people the jobs. They make them with other countries' jobs. And we will have something that nobody will ever see again, I think. I think we have a potential to do numbers that we never envisioned in the wildest year. Look at what's happening. 10 to 12 trillion dollars in literally a couple of months. It's nothing like that's ever happened. It's a very special, we're doing a very special thing. We want, if they're going to sell it here, generally speaking, not for all products. There's some products we don't want to make. And frankly, we're much better off getting them elsewhere. But for certain products, we want cars. We want to make cars. We don't want to have, and I like Canada very much, but we don't want to have Canada making our cars. We want to make our cars. Oh, it's a phone call. Do you mind? Hello? Okay, it's only a congressman. I'd let you know, actually.
Mr. President, are you considering stopping other universities from taking foreign students?
No. It's a different congressman. They're all congratulating us. Yeah, it's lucky it is. Right? Okay, let's go.
Are you considering stopping other universities besides Harvard from accepting foreign
students? Well, we're taking a look at a lot of things. And as you know, billions of dollars has been paid to Harvard. How ridiculous is that? Billions. And they have $52 billion as an endowment. They have $52 billion. And this country is paying billions and billions of dollars and then gives student loans, and they have to pay back the loans. So Harvard's going to have to change its ways. So are some others.
Mr. President, on that note, a lot of CEOs in the United States, big companies, are for it. What is that going to do?
I'm fine with that. No, I'm fine with that. No, we want to do that. We're actually going to be doing something in the near future that's going to make it possible for people to come into this country and come in and, you know, have a road toward citizenship. And I think it'll be very exciting, but it's too soon to speak.
Why would you not want the best and brightest from around the world to come to Harvard?
I do, but a lot of the people need remedial math. Did you see that? Where these students can't add 2 and 2 and they go to Harvard. They want remedial math, and they're going to teach remedial math at Harvard. No, wait a minute. So why would they get in? How can somebody that can't add or has very basic skills, how do they get into Harvard? Why are they there? And then you see those same people picketing and screaming at the United States and screaming at, you know, they're anti-Semitic or they're something. We don't want troublemakers here. But how do people that can't, when Harvard comes out with a statement that they're going to teach some of their students remedial math, that's basic math, that's not the deal. Okay, and any more?
Are there other countries you're considering shortening the 90-day pause on tariffs for? And then are there specific steps you're looking for the EU to take?
Well, we have a lot of requests, and you know, you don't have the people to handle it, frankly. Everybody wants to make a deal. I'm sure now the European Union wants to make a deal very badly, but they just they don't do it right. They don't go about it right. The other thing they do is they sue our companies all the time. You know, they have suits where their judges, I don't know if they're appointed by them, but they're definitely Europe-centric, and we're not going to stand for it. They won a $17 billion lawsuit for Apple, and I read that case, and that's not a case that should have been won. They're suing other of our companies. They use this as a weapon, but they use it really to raise funds for what they do. It's almost like a fundraising mechanism. So we add that to the fact that they do the non-monetary tariffs and lots of other trading, you would call them trading barriers. They don't take our cars. They don't take our agriculture. They don't take anything, but we take their cars by the millions. And therefore, they have the jobs. They get the money, and we get closed plants. It's not going to happen that way anymore. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you. Please don't. Please don't talk. Thank you, Chris. Please keep moving. Please keep moving. Out the door this way.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You're seeing there on the bottom corner of the screen a live look of the Oval Office. President Donald Trump just signed a couple of new executive orders focusing on nuclear energy, mainly deregulation of nuclear energy, as well as the speeding of approval and construction of new plants. Also answer some questions there from reporters on everything that's been in the news we've seen, especially to do with Harvard, as well as that 50% tariff that he's got levied against the European Union. And we'll have more of that for you coming up next. But moving on for now, a fourth suspected accomplice is charged for her role in the New Orleans jailbreak. 5 inmates still remain at large. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'm Ilka. I live with my daughter and with my grandchildren. There's a sense of comfort that comes with eating a good meal. We try to make the most, of what we have. We have rent to pay, and then there are lights and there are gas. And while my daughter and I both work, it still just doesn't seem like there's enough to go around sometimes.
Every day, millions of our neighbors face hunger, including 1 in 5 children, and food costs keep rising. Please call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Your monthly support can fill plates with nutritious food for families across the country and in your community, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks and volunteers.
If you were over and playing with us, you were part of our family and you were going to eat. A real cook can take nothing and make something.
No one should ever have to wonder if they will have enough to eat. and our neighbors are working hard to feed their families every day. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger from coast to coast and in your own community. Use your credit card and you'll get this exclusive canvas grocery bag as a thank you for joining hands with people across America to help end hunger.
Some of the lessons that I hope that my family will take, it is important to treat people the way that you want to be treated. I have carried on the tradition of loving people through food.
Please call right now or go online to make a monthly gift at helpfeedingamerica.org. Your support helps our neighbors bring food home to their families.
My dad was a farmer, and when I saw him on a horse, the guy was bigger than life. One of the things that he had a hard time doing was showing the emotion. Maybe it was because the way he was raised, or believing that men provide and they don't struggle. But we all struggle. I want to show emotion to my kids. I want them to know when I'm happy, I want them to know when I'm sad, and I want them to see me working through things. The biggest reward I get from being a dad is watching my kids accomplish a goal, watching them light up. Nothing brings a bigger smile to my face. So I make my kids a priority, whether it's hitting a baseball, a dance rehearsal, you name it, I'm there. They're gonna remember that they grew up loved. Be brave, be there every day, and allow your kids to know that it's okay to struggle, that even dad doesn't know the answer sometimes, but we're gonna figure it out together.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Let's stay on the topic of these tariff standoffs. President Donald Trump has announced that he will be levying a 50% tariff against the European Union to start on June 1st. Meanwhile, he's also threatening Apple with a 25% tariff if Apple does not start producing its iPhones here in the U.S. Let's bring on Michael Busler now. He's professor of finance at Stockton University, economist and public policy analyst. Always great to have you on. Happy Friday. It's great to see you. All right, let's talk about this. Yeah. President Trump was just speaking in the Oval Office, right, talking about this 50% tariff coming for the European Union on June 1st. Now, President Trump has also said earlier that negotiations are going, quote, nowhere. So do you think this tariff is going to help get conversations to go somewhere?
Yes, I do. Remember when President Trump started with these tariffs, and he was talking very large tariffs on virtually everyone. And I said on this network before, the purpose of these tariffs is to create a sense of urgency so that all of our trading partners will come to the negotiating table and negotiate a fair deal. Because for years, decades, virtually every country in the world has been taking advantage of us because we charge very low tariffs on their products. They charge very high tariffs on our products. And as a result, we buy a lot of their goods, which has money flowing out of the country. They buy very little of ours, which has little of their money flowing into the country. And we created this huge negative balance of trade. President Trump came into office, and remember, he's a business person. He wanted to negotiate with all these people who were very reluctant because they're in a good position. Why should they try and negotiate? So what a business person does is you want to negotiate from a position of strength, and you want to create a sense of urgency so that people will come to the table. So he did that. He said, I'm putting on very large tariffs. The countries came to the table and started negotiating. England already has a deal. A couple of other countries are fairly close. The European Union didn't do anything. They thought, Trump's not going to do this. He's just threatening. This will never go on. It'll never happen. We don't have to be in a hurry to negotiate anything. Well, they did that for, Trump gave everybody 90 days when he said he'd pause the tariffs. About half of that time has gone by. European Union isn't doing anything. So President Trump has created a sense of urgency. You have till next Friday or Saturday, whenever the first is, to negotiate a deal with us, or I'm putting a 50% tariff on. That will clobber the European Union. They can't afford to allow that to happen. What'll happen next week after Memorial Day, maybe sooner, you'll see the European Union say, look, we don't want this to happen. Let's negotiate now. If they start negotiating in good faith, this 50% will be postponed. If they don't, Trump will put that tariff on and force them to the negotiating table. Remember, Trump wants, his goal is to have free and fair trade. So whatever tariffs any country uses, it's reciprocal. I'm a free market economist. I would prefer to see little or no tariffs. President Trump views tariffs as somewhat of a revenue generator. So he wants, and you can look at the UK agreement, he wants 10% tariffs on both sides and open markets so that the US manufacturers can fairly and profitably sell products in Europe. This will do that.
Okay, well, Michael, the EU trade chief, he's come out and said that the union, it doesn't feel weak. It doesn't feel like it's under pressure to accept a deal that it would find unfair. I mean, what is that? Does the EU hold any significant bargaining chips there? Is this just talk? What is this?
Not really. Because we have this big negative balance of trade, everybody needs us more than we need them. So regardless of what the European Union may have said, once they realize, especially if this 50% tariff goes on, how detrimental it will be to their economy, they will start negotiating. Look, they place big fines on Apple. I think Google paid a big fine. I think even the president mentioned this. They use this as a fundraising activity, and Trump isn't going to allow that to happen anymore. And if they don't come to the bargaining table to negotiate something that's free trade and fair, Trump will slap these tariffs on. It will clobber these countries like it's doing with China now.
All right, and on that note, let's talk about Apple. We've got President Trump saying that there's going to be a 25% tariff on the company if they don't bring their iPhone manufacturing back to the U.S. We're seeing a growth of this manufacturing in India actually right now. But realistically speaking here, Michael, can Apple move all of its iPhone production back to the U.S.?
They can eventually. Eventually, they can't do it very quickly. They're in the process of building very large plant in India. I don't think it's quite finished yet. And they've trained thousands, maybe tens of thousands of engineers who work at a much lower rate than what the US manufacturers work. So it's going to be very difficult for them to just walk away from this. I have a feeling what will happen is an agreement will be reached and Apple will say, look, we'll bring manufacturing back as soon as we can, but we can't do it right away. We're going to need a little bit of time. Trump will probably negotiate with them and maybe give them a few years to adjust to this. Maybe not. Trump wants this back quickly, but I have a feeling they'll give him, Trump will give Apple a little bit of time since they have such a large investment. Now, Apple has already said they're investing huge amounts of money into artificial intelligence, I think $500 billion into the future. That's the thing Trump wants to see happen in the US. And all of this manufacturing where you sell products to Americans, Trump wants the products to be made in America. So some kind of a compromise, I think, will be reached with Apple.
Well, I mean, Apple is an American company, but then I think it's interesting as well. Right before the break in the Oval Office, we heard there a reporter asking President Trump, does he think it's fair that he's targeting an American company? And then President Trump said, no, I wouldn't just put this tariff on Apple. I'd put it on Samsung. I'd put it all on all the other major companies to make it fair. How is that going to work, Michael?
So any company that sells their products in the U.S., and this is a very ambitious goal, but President Trump says, I want you to make the products in the U.S. if you're selling to the U.S. market, whether you're an American company or a company from South Korea or India or Japan or China, any of those companies, if you're selling in the U.S., I want you to make the product in the U.S. or you'll have to pay a tariff. He'll negotiate the size of the tariffs. But once the tariffs are placed on those products, it becomes cheaper to make the product in the U.S. than to make it in some of those countries. That'll bring the companies back to the U.S. to manufacture. It won't happen overnight, and I think Trump will allow some time, maybe not, but the goal is to bring manufacturing of products that are sold in the U.S., bring the manufacturing back to the U.S. and have them made in America.
And to your earlier point about AI, this has been a goal of this administration to really achieve more dominance in this area and rely less on foreign entities. Would you say that bringing production of products like iPhones back into America, would that really lower our dependence on foreign supply chains, especially for things like chips?
It would, and that's what Trump is trying to do, not just today, but looking into the future. Artificial intelligence, we haven't even seen what artificial intelligence can do and how much it will improve the lives of everybody. So Trump, knowing that's going to be a huge market, he wants artificial intelligence to be concentrated in the U.S. And so far, he's secured many investments, he says in the trillions of dollars for a lot of industries, but in particular, artificial intelligence. So yes, I think we can bring that stuff back. It maybe take a little longer than President Trump would like, but yes, I think we can bring this manufacturing back. And as I said before, one of the reasons it's not here now is that labor rates are so much lower in these other countries. Manufacturing workers in some of Asian countries get only $1 an hour. You know, we pay $25, $30, $40 an hour. So how are we going to bring it back? We'll bring it back through capital intensive manufacturing. So instead of manufacturing with a lot of people on an assembly line, you'll see robots and artificial intelligence and automation, fewer number of people. The people will have to be more highly skilled so they can operate all this equipment. But if we bring it back very capital intensive, we'll be able to keep the cost down close to where it would have been if we're manufacturing labor intensive in a country outside of the U.S.
Okay, Michael, let's take a look at China now. We heard the regime saying today that it's going to continue to come to talks with the U.S. on trade. Now, earlier there was that 90-day tariff reduction agreement that we saw, which is a significant amount of time, to work something out. Do you expect a deal maybe sooner than that?
I do. China their economy is in terrible shape. Even before Trump started with this, they financed a real estate boom heavily using a lot of debt. And once your economy slows down, you don't have enough income generated to carry the debt, and that causes problems. I think real estate housing prices on average have fallen about 30% since their peak in China. In addition to that, the tariffs Trump has already put on has caused China to reduce production. And I've seen figures that say as many as 10 million Chinese people are now out of work. Well, the economy is doing very poorly. If Trump keeps these tariffs on, it will collapse their economy. So they have to make a deal. Now, Trump really created a sense of urgency with them. He said, I'm putting on 145% tariffs. That created a very strong sense of urgency, and they're coming to the table. Now, he has reduced it because they are making some progress. And as long as they make progress, the tariffs will remain much lower than what he had in mind. But if China or anybody else starts dragging their feet, he'll do the same thing he did today. I'm going to impose very large tariffs next week if you don't come to the table. In the long run, and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs here, in the long run, this will be very good for America. We'll have more secure supply chains. Products will be made in America, and made in America will now have a sense of pride that these are good products, as good as anybody's in the world. And that's what President Trump is trying to do.
So, Michael, last question for you here. Both sides are acknowledging the importance of bilateral relations here. We've got State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce also confirming that there had been talks with Chinese officials covering what she called a wide range of issues of mutual interest. She did not elaborate on exactly what that was, but do you think there's anything the U.S. could be bringing into this conversation other than tariffs and non-tariff barriers, specifically on the issue of the human rights and transnational repression that we're seeing from the Chinese Communist Party right now?
That and the Chinese companies are stealing our intellectual property, all the things that we know, all the patents and stuff that we have and we know how to work with. China, when a U.S. company wants to operate in China, they set up a new company and a Chinese national has to own, I believe, at least half of the company. Well, once that happens, the Chinese nationals are able to get production secrets from the U.S. and steal those things, and President Trump wants that stopped. So tariffs are important, free trade is important, fair trade is important, and we want them to stop stealing things from us and stop hacking our systems and causing problems. We're supposed to be, and we want to be on a good bilateral relationship, as Tammy said, and to do that, people have to act fairly and not be an adversary to each other. And he wants China to stop that and to stop it immediately. So yes, I think this will be effective in doing that.
All right, Michael Busler, great having you on. You have a good Memorial Day weekend, all right?
And you as well, and thanks for having me.
When we come back, just moments ago, President Donald Trump signed executive orders to jumpstart the nuclear industry. We'll be talking to an expert after this break.
I'm Amy Grant, and I want to talk to you from my heart about the heart. I would have been the last person on the list to say this woman has a problem with her heart. So no, there was nothing about my life that said, you have a ticking time bomb in your chest. But I did. I wound up in the office of a cardiologist because I was there with my husband. And at the tail end of that, the cardiologist looked at me and said, I want to see you. No one was more surprised than I was to learn I was living with a rare heart condition. He said, Amy, this condition, you'll be fine, 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 and then catastrophic. A few months later, I had open heart surgery that saved my life. And I owe it to the research and life-saving medical breakthroughs developed by the American Heart Association. That's why I'm asking you to join me and become a monthly donor to the American Heart Association. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help fund the next medical breakthrough, get the next person trained in CPR, and get the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. If this could happen to me, it could happen to anybody. Heart disease is America's #1 killer, but your support can save your life or the life of someone you love. Give $19 a month with your credit card and we'll send you this special t-shirt you can wear to show you're part of a community of monthly donors working to help save more lives like mine. I'm grateful for the American Heart Association. Their research gave me more time to do the things I love with the people I love. So listen to your heart. I'm here today because I did.
Please call or go online to helpheart.org. Become a monthly donor, and for a limited time only, your first month's gift will be matched.
Thank you.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-701-6159. That's 1-800-701-6159.
Thanks for staying with us. President Donald Trump just signed a slew of new executive orders. Now, today's set zeroes in on nuclear energy production. We're going to bring on now Kelly Sloan, energy policy consultant and columnist. Kelly, it's great having you on today. Let's talk about these orders, right? What exactly, first of all, give our viewers a bit of context here. Where does nuclear development and innovation stand right now in the U.S.? And what has led the president to make the decisions he made today?
Well, for brief history, it's been years since new nuclear reactors have been built in the United States. In the meantime, most of the rest of the world is going past us in leaps and bounds. Communist China this year is building 27 new nuclear reactors. France has been depending on nuclear energy for decades. Gets more than 70% of its power from nuclear. Meanwhile, we've taken this kind of Luddite attitude towards nuclear pretty much since its inception. And that has really set us back. There's some analysis that claim right now China is roughly 15 years ahead of us, ahead of the United States in terms of nuclear technology. And I think that's disturbing, not just for our energy future and our clean energy future, but for our national pride. So what the president has done today it's been I think a positive first step towards helping the United States get back on track, get some more nuclear power brought online, and start reclaiming our place in the world. Remember, we were the first nation on the planet to harness nuclear energy in the first place, and for it to have slipped out of our hands this relatively quickly and this easily, I think is a national disgrace.
And I think you're touching on a point that was also a central theme in the Oval Office today, which is that energy security is national security.
It is, absolutely. I mean, the first requirement of any society economically or strategically is the ability to keep its lights on, keep its plant functioning. Right now, we are relying for electricity on natural gas for the most part. We are continually cutting off through law our greatest resource for electricity, which is coal. So that's coming offline, and we have nothing to replace it. The emphasis for at least the last 20 years on and off has been building up so-called renewables, predominantly solar and wind. Well, those have some very natural limitations to them. The first one being that you can't store it. And as the aphorism goes, the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow. So what do you do in those times when that's not happening? Those are natural limitations which keep solar and wind at about 20% mark in terms of what they can provide for our national grid. And as we take coal offline, as natural gas will run out eventually, maybe not in my lifetime, but it will run out. And there are ecological concerns. We don't have anything that we in our policy kit to replace it with. Obviously, the answer is nuclear. We have nuclear. Other countries use nuclear. Nuclear has been proven for decades to be safe. It's been proven to be reliable, and it's proven to be clean. So again, why have we taken this Luddite approach? Well, simply for political reasons, not for any practical reason.
I think it's also really interesting that the topic of AI was also brought up. It was talked about, the fact that we do need immense amounts of energy to run these AI processing centers that run 24/7. But at the same time, the president also brought up that AI can also be in turn used to modernize and increase the speed of nuclear reactors. Walk us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we build these data centers that are going to complement our, this burgeoning AI industry, you're absolutely correct. They're going to use tremendous amounts of electricity, which right now in large parts of the country, we do not have the capacity to be able to bring that much electricity online without rolling blackouts, brownouts, rationing somehow. And I don't think anybody wants to go down that road. So again, really the only option that we have to be able to meet this demand, and it's not just AI and data centers and all these new technologies coming online. It's the simple fact that our population is expanding. As we get more people, as our daily requirements for electricity are going to go up, and we haven't been meeting that demand. Nuclear, again, is the way to do it. And what the president has done with this executive order is started to remove some of those obstacles that we've traditionally placed in the way of nuclear, starting to get some of those out of the way so that we can, at last, after decades, start really using this technology for our own benefit.
So obviously there is demand out there, but then you need to have the workforce to supply that demand. We've got one other order here that the president signed calling for the development of a nuclear energy sector workforce. Where exactly does the American workforce on this front stand right now? How long is it going to take to build up the force that the president thinks we need?
I don't think it'll take that long. I mean, the American people are pretty resilient and they're pretty adaptable. One thing I should mention is, this executive order is kind of tracking what we're starting to see in some states. Even my home state of Colorado, which is a more liberal state now with a Democratic governor, Democratic majorities, did pass a bill this year to recognize or to classify nuclear as a clean energy resource. Of course, we have clean energy mandates. This allows nuclear to be used to meet some of those mandates. And one of the bills that came along with that was a workforce bill. We're starting to see some of this around the country. And yes, I think if we take a kind of a dedicated approach as a nation to developing that workforce, partnering with colleges, partnering with industry, it can be done. Again, other countries have done it. We are not really treading new ground here. France has been utilizing nuclear energy for a little over 70% of its electricity needs for decades. Even Bangladesh is building, I believe, 2 new reactors this year.
Right.
So we're not treading new ground. There are a lot of resources out there that we can pull from the industry. The industry is ready to go. The industry has been pushing for this for years. They know what they're doing. Really, all they needed was to get the government out of the way. And what happened today, I think, is a good first step to doing that.
And Kelly, I've only got around 30 seconds here, but really quickly, I want to touch on the invocation of the Defense Production Act. Were you surprised by that?
No, not really. Again, energy is, as you mentioned, one of the key elements of national security. If we can rely on our own domestic sources of energy, makes us less reliant on other countries, which may not always have our best interests at heart. Let's look at what happened with OPEC in the 1970s. And in terms of nuclear, of course, it requires, the older technologies still require uranium, which we should be able to mine and process here domestically on our own. And it helps us catch up with our adversaries, like China. Again, China is another country that has been very active on the nuclear front, is very likely well ahead of us in that technology, and that's disturbing for, like I said, a number of reasons. So no, it's no surprise whatsoever.
I think it's safe to say today's orders were really pretty much in line with everything President Trump's been talking about all along the campaign trail as well. Kelly Sloan, great having you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
When we come back, an illegal immigrant is accused of receiving almost $500,000 in stolen federal benefits and voting in a presidential election. Arian Pazar will have the consequences that the individual could face after the break.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
They're just young people, hungry, homeless, and vulnerable. Covenant House is helping young adults facing homelessness. We're providing safe shelter to thousands, but the need is overwhelming. Please call or go online now. With your gift of $19 a month, we'll send you this blanket as a reminder of the comfort your gift provides a young person tonight. You'll provide safe shelter, hot meals, and medical care. Call the number on your screen or go online to safeplacetosleep.org.
I go by Jackie. I'm 44 years old. I had 3 kids at the time and single mother. I was working 60 hours a week, still couldn't pay the bills, skip meals so that they could eat. It's been hard because one thing falls into place, 10 things fall out of place. I just can't do this alone and make it work.
1 in 5 children face hunger in America. and food costs are rising. But everyone needs nourishing food to thrive, and they can when we work together so our neighbors can feed their families. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill places